welcome back to All Things Home Care with Dana Arnone. We are out and about today, and we are at the campus of SUNY Old Westbury, and we are talking today with the Master's Forensic Accounting class, and we're with their professor, David Gladstein. So we're here to find out a little bit more about the program that you are offering to the community and get some information out.
The program is called the Justice for Fraud Victims Project, and it's within our Master's in Forensic Accounting department. What we're trying to do is help victims or potential victims of fraud using our students to investigate the cases. Some of the types of cases that we can help victims on are small businesses, not-for-profit entities, some elder care fraud.
So what is the most common type of fraud that you see, or one of the most common types of experiences that your students have had?
There's different types of fraud. There's payroll fraud, there's embezzlement, there's asset misappropriation, and that's just a fancy way to say, stolen assets from potential victims.
I consider myself a very, savvy business person. I do all the right things. I watch everything as best I can. And I actually was a victim of not only payroll fraud, like we did discuss, but I was actually a victim of embezzlement of an employee of mine. What kind of guidance would you give businesses or people in the community just to find, what to look for as a sign that you might be a victim of fraud?
What people should constantly look for is look at their statements, whether it's bank statements, credit card statements, payroll summaries, to make sure that the employees are being paid the correct amount and not more. If we do not look, or if the business owners do not look at these statements, then they're just kind of opening themselves up for a larger amount of potential fraud.
What kind of things have you experienced or the students have experienced as far as elder fraud?
Well, generally speaking, I've been involved in forensic accounting for 20 plus years. This is where somebody has control or access to somebody's assets. It could be the bank account, it could be credit card, and that they have used this outside of their perspective zone.
In the normal state, if they think that they're being a victim of fraud or they think someone in their family is stealing from them, would they be calling their lawyer? Like, where would you get that information from?
Potentially, it could come from a number of sources. It can come from other family members who feel that there should be more money in the bank account and they don't understand why, mom or dad have less money in that account. It also could come from an attorney saying, family members looked into it and then they want this addressed through their particular attorney.
Let's say someone contacts you and there's somebody that you can help. What are you asking for? Bank statements? Are you looking for any type of paperwork that gives them permission? Because I've always thought that you need a power of attorney or you need some type of access to their bank accounts.
People will steal if they can steal. Just because they don't have a power of attorney to sign checks or have control over the assets doesn't 100% prevent somebody from, misappropriating some assets.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of restitution do they usually get? Like, are they looking for full?
Everybody's looking for full restitution, but, any type of restitution is better than no restitution.
So if someone, when they come to you, what is the process that you're utilizing in order to, unravel what's going on there? And is there, another question, is there like a time frame? Like, can you go back 20 years and say they stole from me 20 years ago? There
is a statute of limitations, so that definitely will play into whether we will take a case or not, depending upon how far back it goes. But some of the things that we want is, working with whether it's a business or not-for-profit or a family, we want them to be willing to provide to be open to giving us the documentation so our students can review. And then, we might we want everything for, the past number of years. It could be 3 years, it could be 5 years. And the students will look at and analyze those documents to determine, number one is is something possibly could happen, and number two is to try to quantify that. And once the analysis is done, the students will write reports, and that will be presented to the district attorney, hopefully, to for prosecution. Prosecution really depends upon the family. You know, if there's something happened to mom, does sister want to prosecute brother or vice versa?
I have a patient that thinks her son is on drugs and stealing from her. She doesn't want to do anything. So, but now she's out of money, and there's going to be, nothing left for her to pay for her care, which is the problem that she's having right now.
And that's where I feel this project, the Justice for Fraud Victims Project, is a social justice mission project, because the students have an understanding that this isn't just about the analysis and quantifying the loss. This is really about people. Being a victim of fraud hurts people. And, I always tell the students, and, when in doubt, they should tell the family or the business to prosecute. Because how else is this going to stop someone in the future from doing this to somebody else?
Where do you get most of your referrals from? The district attorney's office?
It comes from the district attorney. We're working with both the Nassau and Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, but it also comes from the community. The Nassau County District Attorney, I have presented to their various community council groups, whether it's the faith-based leader group, their South Asian Community Council, etc. I present it to their groups so they can bring it back to their homes and to their communities to say, hey, here is a resource that SUNY Old Westbury and their students as part of the Masters in Forensic Accounting program can help you if you potentially have been a victim of fraud.
Is there a fee attached to this?
The students are providing the services under the guidance of a certified fraud examiner or under the guidance of the district attorney's office. There is no fees that we charge. I mean, obviously we are working with various groups to try to raise funds so we can educate the community, and some of the community, especially the elderly, need education and what to do with their bank accounts. Maybe they're not so tech savvy, and they need this education. So we will be running various programs in the spring here for community groups and also elderly, to provide educational seminars to minimize or hopefully prevent fraud.
What is one thing that you could tell them to absolutely do to protect yourself from fraud?
Watch their bank accounts, watch their investment accounts, watch their credit card statements to make sure there's nothing on there that they haven't charged or haven't used, to stop it in its tracks before something small becomes a huge mountain.
Yeah. So now you know what I do, which my banker didn't even tell me to do this. I put a block on my card.
What I tell people is, people that have credit cards, to put a freeze on their account. There's 3 credit agencies, and you should freeze that account so somebody can't open up a new credit card unless you freeze your accounts. If somebody wants to open up a credit card in your name and you have frozen your credit with the 3 agencies, they cannot open up a credit card because your account, the credit agencies have frozen it. To have them review my account, I have to unfreeze it. Once they do the credit check, then I refreeze it. Everybody will be a victim of fraud, but how much you are a victim of fraud depends upon how active you are in your financial life. If you're active, then chances are you can stop it or minimize it in its tracks. If you're not active, then potentially it can snowball and you can be a big victim of fraud.
And what's the best way for them to go about contacting you?
A couple of ways. One is through my direct contact information via the college. I have an email account and my phone number. So they can leave me a voice message. The other way is through a link directly on the Old Westbury website. So if somebody has been, or they think they've been a victim of fraud, they can fill out the form and it's uploaded, and that will also come to me via my email, and then their case can be evaluated. And that's how we look at cases, on a potential need basis, or if we can help them. And if we do not think our students can help them, we try to provide them with some type of guidance as to where they can turn.
Well, I think it's so important that people get the message out that you guys are here. You guys are willing to and eager to talk to people and really help them figure out what's going on. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a very interesting conversation, and I'm sure you'll be able to help a lot of people.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to All Things Home Care with Dana Arnone. We are out and about at SUNY Old Westbury, and we are now going to be having a nice conversation, well, not so nice conversation, right? It's actually a terrible conversation about fraud with the forensic accounting students here at SUNY Old Westbury. So let's start with an introduction and just what's your name?
My name is Antoinette Reel. I've been involved with the Justice for Fraud Victims project, more on the PR side thus far. And we're here really to show you what we can offer you, and if you think that you apply, definitely contact us.
Hi, my name is Kayla Brown Thomas. I'm working on a case with the Justice for Fraud Victims Project.
Hi, my name is David Gravely. I am a student at SUNY Old Westbury. I've been working with Dr. Gladstein through the Justice for Fraud Victims Project. This is my first semester really getting involved in helping people.
So tell me a little bit about why forensic accounting is something that you're interested in.
I actually come from a family of law enforcement, and you know, a lot of times in criminology classes you study street crime versus financial crime. Personally, I like the financial crime sector better. It's just interesting, and it really applies to almost every situation that you would overlook. So the analytical side is what I like about it, and in the future we would hope, at least, you know, we're working on cases, we would hope that people become more vigilant and more diligent in, you know, protecting themselves and just educating themselves, and that's why we're here.
I feel like as far as accounting goes, most people don't find it interesting, but for us, it's something that we're all passionate about. As far as down the road, we're looking to help people, help business owners, elderly people, anyone who feels like they have been a victim. That's what we're here for.
I really didn't know what forensic accounting was because it is semi-new, especially in a college setting, to learn. It's more to help people, and I didn't know that until I started doing this about a year ago.
So my husband's an accountant, and my son went to Baruch for accounting, so I'm surrounded by accountants. So for me, you know, my husband is very diligent. We have separate checkbooks. His is to the cent, and mine is I round up. So we definitely have two different philosophies as far as accounting goes. So having said that, I've been the victim of fraud multiple times. He has not. So maybe there's something to what he does. So I'd like to hear a little bit about the cases that you're working on, and I know that you guys are actively looking for people to contact you. Maybe you can share the phone number again. But what is it that you guys are looking to do, and how is the team that you guys have here helping the people in the community?
Right now, we're in a case studies course where we're working with the DA's office on a case where victims either don't have the financial means to hire a forensic investigator, or they're not too sure if the case will go that far to need a forensic investigator. And that's where we step in and analyze the details of the case to see how we can assist the DA's office.
And what is it about the forensic side that you find interesting? Like, what is it that you're looking to get out of it?
Personally, for me, there's always a bigger picture behind what's presented to you in a case. So it could be that you feel like one person was defrauded and it's actually 10 people were defrauded. So there's always something else to it. It's the investigative part, personally, for me.
What about you?
It's more of the intellectual. I like the challenge, and it's very investigative. And I grew up with crime shows, so it's right in my field of kind of passion.
Yeah, that's good. What about you?
It's been a great experience, not only for the students to start putting what they've learned in the classroom to use, but it's also helping people like elder fraud victims or small entities that might not have the funds to hire a forensic investigator for a full forensic audit. We can help you not only recover and try and recoup as much as possible, but help you to learn for the future.
Okay, so as being, young adults, what is it that you would say to other young adults that you have learned through your time here, or personally, what would you say to them as how to start to protect themselves from any type of fraud in the future, so as young people?
I would say the best tool to fight fraud is to be proactive. So Like my professor said, you always want to make sure you're checking your bank statements. You want to make sure that you have your financials in order. Because if you don't know your situation, you won't know what's missing or if you have been defrauded.
Yeah, because you guys are growing up on, everything's online for you. Paying your bills online, your banking's online, even investing. My son does Bitcoin, all that kind of stuff, everything's online. So he puts all of his information out there. And I don't know, the old school seems to be, well, no, it didn't work for me. What am I saying? So when you are talking to other students or you're talking to your friends and you're talking to them about what you're doing all day, you're telling them to, when you're banking online, you're telling them watch your bank account, watch the things that you're putting on there, like especially like with the investments and things like that. So is there things that you could do to prevent any type of fraud with that?
I would say to a certain degree, yes, but at the same time, you can't control if there's a data breach at your bank. So although you can control what you do, you can't control what fraudsters are doing. So the best way is to be proactive and diligent and check your bank statements, freeze your credit accounts with the 3 reporting agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. You can just call their number over the phone and freeze your credit. So there's various things that you can do like that, but also just know that no matter what you do, you can still be at risk.
With the world of social media, we know that people are putting a lot of information out there. So what is it that you would say to other individuals about how much they should be sharing?
You want to make sure that your passwords vary. You want a strong password, not a password that someone could put together by looking at your personal information. And 2-step authorization. So if they do happen to hack your account or get into it, then you're notified and you're able to handle it appropriately.
That's smart.
Don't make everything public. If you have an open Instagram account where anybody can follow you, just make it private where they have to request to follow you.
You're all so intelligent and articulate, and I really am very impressed with the things that you're doing here. I think that any resource that is out there and available to people in the community, it's important that we get the message out. We let them know that you guys are here. You guys are eagerly waiting to hear from them. If they have any situations that they're dealing with or potential situations. Well, I thank you all. This is it for our episode of All Things Home Care from SUNY Old Westbury, and we appreciate your time, and we'll see you real soon. Hi, welcome back to All Things Home Care with Dana Arnone. Today, I'm very happy and pleased to say that we're talking with Judy Serino. She is the Community Service Representative for Home Instead. And we're going to talk a little bit about elder fraud and elder abuse and how rampant it is, especially during COVID, and the different things that they're seeing in fraud and how it's affecting families and the elderly, especially when there's not that caretaker in the home to be that buffer or to be that one that's saying, hey, that doesn't sound right. So first, hi Judy, welcome.
Hi Dana, thank you so much for having me today.
It's a pleasure. I think that this is something very timely. I think this is something that happens all the time. Just before I was talking to somebody else who happens to be a home care worker, and I was telling them that you were coming on the show today, and she said, oh, that's interesting because I just had a call. She was in with her patient. The patient is in her 90s, and the phone rang, so this individual picked up the phone, and the person on the other line said, hi, Grandma, and so the aide was like, hold on, and the patient heard the person on the phone and said, oh, is that my Joey? And the individual said, yes, it's Joey, because they heard her. And then when the aide said, oh, who are you? They hung up the phone, and then she called the phone number back, and it was a disconnected phone, or it wasn't a working phone number. But anyway, it just shows you how that conversation, she had her own story about that. So why don't we get right into exactly what is the most common fraud types of scenarios that we're seeing today that's focusing on the elderly and the homebound?
There's so many different types of scams out there, but the grandparent scam is one, and I mean, I have a whole list that I could talk about forever, but what they do is, I'll bring that one up first. So they'll call pretending to be a grandchild, and hey grandma, and what they do is then if they don't know the name, like you said, that was just luck, that was his lucky day. He was probably cheering. So usually they'll just say it's your favorite grandchild. So that way you're too embarrassed if you're the senior to not know your favorite grandchild's name. So that way, or they'll just, play along and say, oh, I'm in trouble. So then they'll say they're in jail, they need money, or they maybe had a car accident and they're in the hospital, but they don't want to tell mom and dad, they don't want to worry them, or they don't want to get in trouble with mom and dad, so don't say anything, but you have to wire us money. So sometimes they'll even get a friend on the other, on the phone and say, this is the sergeant, we're going to throw them in jail if you don't send the money right away. And they give you the information where to wire it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, it's easy to fall victim to this. I mean, even not even seniors, everyone can be a victim. The first thing you should do with a phone call like that, the grandparent scam, is to just hang up and call that grandchild back.
That would be logical.
Or the parents of the grandchild, your kids, right. And if it's a phone number you don't recognize, that's the main theme that I'm always going to be talking about here, is don't pick up the phone unless you recognize the number. That's the world we're living in,
Do the
unfortunately.
scammers usually have an unlisted number, unavailable number, or are they actually showing a phone number?
Oh, sometimes, well, at first I think the scammers had, you know, anonymous or unlisted so that, you know, they wouldn't be caught. But now they're probably feeling that people are catching on and they're not picking these odd numbers up. So, you know, unlisted numbers, that doesn't give a number. So now they subscribe to lists and get phone numbers, and they know technology well enough to know how to program their computer or buy programs that give them all these, you know, random phone numbers to be calling from. They have burner cell phones. They're so hard to catch. Besides the grandparent scam, we have the IRS Social Security spoofing, and I'm sure, Dean, I've gotten the call before, I'm sure you have, where you'll get a recording and it's a robocall. So this, again, they're using their technology to spew out thousands of phone calls at once. It saves them time and money in the end, because they're just sending a recording to your phone. This is the IRS calling, you owe us money and back taxes or this or that or Social Security. If you don't pay, you're going to be subject to penalties, fines, or thrown in jail.
Yeah, that one's actually a little convincing.
The first thing you have to know is IRS Social Security will never call you. They will mail you a letter. And if you're in trouble with the IRS, you usually know. With the pandemic, this has opened up a whole new channel for these scammers and to take advantage of. So everyone was getting all these stimulus checks. Well, the scammers were like, we want a piece of that. So what do? They call and say they're the IRS again, and we want your bank account number so that we can direct deposit your stimulus check to you. Yeah, so people fall for that because, like I said, it sounds official. They might start out with a recording, call this number back. They sound like they're from a call center at the IRS or wherever, and they will get money from people who, not just seniors, but everyone who falls for this. So whatever way you were getting your taxes refunded to you, you would get a check in the mail or direct deposit. That's how you would get your stimulus check.
What do you think annually the dollar amount of fraud to seniors comes out to be?
Oh yeah, it's a big amount. So just for seniors alone, we're talking now just under $3 billion a year.
What?
Yeah, and that averages out to about $45,000 per person.
Wow.
But you know, you hear stories. It could be somebody lost a few hundred, then they got smart and they stopped the whole thing, or they could lose up to hundreds of thousands. I know, I saw a story, I think Dateline did a special on it, and this poor man, he lost his house plus $400,000.
Wow.
He had to live in his friend's basement.
Wow.
His whole retirement, everything gone. So Dina, there is another type of scam out there that you have to be careful of lately, and it's involving gift cards. So scammers will ask you to pay them back with gift card money. This could be part of any type of telemarketing scam that we're talking about. A lot of times you'll get a text or an email that says it's Amazon or Apple, you're due a refund. So you're thinking you get money. You call the number or click on the link, talking to a representative from Amazon or Apple. The one thing with these gift card scams, they're 100% scams. If anyone asks you, they say they're from some company, you have to pay them in gift card money, it's
you know
a scam.
that's not legit.
No, not legit, 100%.
Okay. How do we get the word out there or educate more people about the different scams that there are?
What you want to do, the first main thing, is to stay involved with friends and family, because some of the signs that caregivers should look for are unusual bank account activity. Suddenly they have best friends on the phone all day with people that you don't know. You want to shred all your documents. These scammers literally can go through garbage, and they will. The other thing you want to do is sign up for Do Not Call list, which is donotcall.gov, and sign up for direct deposit from your pension or benefits. That way it goes right into your account.
Nothing in the mail.
Nothing in the mail. We can't even trust the good old mail anymore. And definitely don't give out your personal information.
And I think it comes up a lot more because of the lack of caregivers. The
Yes.
lack of that buffer between the patient and the outside people is missing, especially when the crisis in staffing is continuing. But I thank you so much for this information. I did actually learn a lot, and I know what to look for now. And I definitely will pass on that information to my parents. Well, that's all we have for this episode. If you or someone you know needs assistance, you can find numbers and links to today's guests on our website, allthingshomecare.org. And please follow us on Facebook or Instagram. And always remember to be kind to those who come to your home to care for you. See you next time.
All Things Home Care elevates and supports home health caregivers by providing transportation and promoting education to better care for homebound seniors and the disabled. To find out more or to make a donation, visit us at allthingshomecare.org.